So the stench of this Signal scandal may linger for a bit longer than a week, certainly longer than this week. That's thanks to what Trump administration officials put in the group chat and what they said under oath about the group chat. Both those things have Democrats wondering aloud if some of the highest-ranking officials in the American government broke the law.
Do you think that she misled you guys?
I absolutely do. I rarely try to ascribe intent, but I think it should be very concerning that she was willing to come in front of this committee and represent a set of facts that don't exist.
All right, with us at the table, two lawyers, Michael Veen, a former attorney for President Trump during his second impeachment trial, and Dante Mills, a criminal and civil attorney and law professor at Temple University. So really two separate issues here. Tulsi Gabbard, John Ratcliffe, who testified before Congress. Could they be in jeopardy for telling things that were less than truthful? That's one. Let's dispense with that quickly, shall we say. Anything that could put them in legal jeopardy that they testified to?
No, we can dispense with that quickly because it has to be designated as top secret or secret or classified information. And the people who would designate it as such are involved in this scandal. So they're simply going to say, we'd never determined that that information that was included in that Signal text chain was top secret.
No, but that's not the question. I think the question is, did they perjure themselves under oath in front of a congressional committee?
If they say there was no top secret information, the person who
that's not the question, though.
it says
all the things. I mean, yesterday all she said was she didn't recall. Like I wanted to send some Prevagen, some memory supplements to the White House because it's like, my God, these people have no memory of anything.
That's it. You know, the perjury statute requires the element of intent. And if there's no intent, there's no crime. And not only do you have to prove that intent beyond a reasonable doubt, but when you look at the testimony, her testimony is, I don't really remember. And how are you going to convict her on that? You're not going to. It's really, that's a red herring into really what are the bigger issues here and what's in the interest of our country's national security.
And the bigger issue has to do maybe with the Espionage Act. So explain to me gross negligent and who may have been either gross or negligent.
If I may. The Espionage Act comes from 1915, and it came at the end of, right at World War I, when Woodrow Wilson, in his State of the Union, asked for that piece of legislation. And it was always intended, until recent amendments, it was always intended for somebody who had information and tried to use it to hurt the country. There had to be an intent to harm the nation. They did amend it to add gross negligence, but gross negligence, some people could even say is unconstitutionally vague. What's negligence? What's gross negligence? What's reckless negligence? There are standards that are going to be hard to really apply, particularly in this circumstance, because nobody alleges, and I don't myself believe that anybody intended to hurt the country. This was certainly negligence because somebody pushed the wrong button to get the wrong guy on.
But when you add gross negligence, you no longer need intent. And the one thing about the Espionage Act is it came before the classifications of top secret information, so it doesn't have to be classified. And that's where we get that difference, where they're not going to perjure themselves, but they may in fact be responsible under this act, because I think there is gross negligence. When you look at the fact that they knew, there was a report that just came out that said that Signal was not secure. And in fact, texting through Signal was far less secure than speaking through Signal. They knew that. And then you add the fact that the intent behind why they were on Signal. Essentially, they wanted to make sure that nobody knew and could track what these conversations were because they disappeared. That combination, to me, is gross negligence.
Okay, but this is an exercise in theory, because they frankly could have blatantly broken the law, but it would have to be remanded by the Republican Congress to the Department of Justice, run by Pam Bondi, to then do the investigation, grand jury indictment, and all of that thing. And neither of those two things, Congress is not going to remand it to DOJ, and even if they did, by some miracle of God, DOJ is not going to proceed against these folks. So what else would you like to talk about?
Yeah. The Espionage Act isn't really meant for this circumstances. Even I believe the amendments to it aren't really contemplating this. This was not a wide dissemination of information. First of all, it was one person added that shouldn't have been there. But if you want to say it's grossly negligent, well, maybe you need 1,000 people that got added to that to be grossly negligent.
Would there be anything with regard to intent? I'm going to ask the lawyers, because signal disappears, or you can set it to disappear.
Exactly.
So they can't go back while they're testifying and look at their texts that are actually maybe still on their phone to be able to say, oh, yes, now I remember what happened. So
that's why they were using Signal to begin with.
Of course, but
That's
does
why
that
everyone
deflect,
uses Signal.
But does that
Absolutely.
deflect intent? Does that make it then?
Well, I don't know.
Yes.
I heard there was a 4-week delay on the Vantage, 1 week delay.
No, then Walz changed it to, it was initially 1 week, then Walz changed it
his
to
setting.
4 weeks.
And so does that speak to an intent? I mean, really, I think I heard you say this before I got on, we really have to figure out how this doesn't happen again. They need to investigate how it
punishment
happened,
is how it doesn't
and then
happen.
make sure
There
it
has
doesn't
to be some
happen
kind of consequence. And to Anna's point, where you have the FBI who would investigate, they're not going to do it, right? Nobody's going to step up. We have to look at the President of the United States. The Vice President was on that chain. The only other person that can insert some kind of responsibility or some kind of penalty is the president. He has to step up. I tell my children all the time, mistakes will happen. No expectation of perfection, but you have to be held accountable. And if you don't do that, it will happen again.
Sure, Michael, can you conceive of any presidential administration since the creation of the FBI in the 19-teens where the FBI would not investigate just to figure out what happened here?
Yeah, I think they should investigate and see where it goes. You have to figure out how you avoid these types of mishaps going forward. I definitely understand wanting to communicate via your phone. It's easy, it's quick, I get it. But in these types of instances, maybe just go to the skiff room. Yeah, it's going to take some time to
Sure,
get to
Michael,
one.
let's communicate about where we're
and
going
let's
to
just make
dinner
that
on our
easy.
phones, but not about where we're dropping bombs.
Well, with technology, I would imagine with technology, you would be able to encrypt phones. I mean, they have certain devices that are highly encrypted to communicate with. Use those devices and move on.
Very
what?
quickly, the fact that these do get erased, whether it be 1 week
Sure.
or 4 weeks, that could be another problem, right? The various Federal Records Acts and retention requirements, and there is now a lawsuit.
And that's what the lawsuit is about. The lawsuit's really about, you're conducting your business in a way that people are never going to be able to look and see what you were doing. And we as the Fourth Estate, or we as the people, have an absolute right to get information that's relevant.
And any oversight
our
committee
existence.
should be able to say, show me those records. If something went wrong during that mission, we need to see what went into it. And they'll say, well, listen, they disappeared.
I am encouraged that
But I'll tell-
Roger Wicker, the Republican, and Jack Reed, the Democrat, are talking about a joint investigation. And I'll tell you what else I heard in the hearing today in front of the House that I thought, what did she just say? I mean, maybe Tulsi Gabbard didn't recall anything about this text thread, but she was very happy to defend her reposting Russia Today, state media in Russia, and said that this is the director of national intelligence saying that she can act in her personal capacity to repost Russian state media. That I think
that
didn't get
lawsuit
enough
has legs.
attention.
The lawsuit has legs that these government officials are disposing of governmental records that they're not supposed to dispose of.
I got to tell you, I couldn't have been happier seeing the news of that lawsuit, because it comes right on the heel of the threats and on law firms. And I'm not just talking about law firms. You're talking about the AM 100, the biggest law firms in the world, on the globe, are bowing to pressure of, you might lose some business from us if you don't do what we tell you to do. And you see the little nonprofit, like David and Goliath saying, I don't care. We have our rights. We're going to file our suits, and we're going to keep doing it until the cows come
You can't
home.
operate the government in
You
secret.
can't stop us either,
You can't
by
talk
the
about
way.
being transparent.
Can you
and
get
use
signal from the hard drive? Can't you subpoena the hard drive to still get the signal?
It just sort of depends.
Okay.
It sort of depends what you can do or can't do. Sometimes they disappear
Forever?
Counselors, thank you very much. I feel well represented here. Everyone else, hang on. Next, it's rare for Republicans to be critical of Donald Trump, but in the wake of this breach, will some call balls and strikes on these blunders? We will debate.
You can't poo-poo it. You can't downplay it. You have to sit up there and be like, holy shit, this is a up of epic proportions.